Welcome to this installment of the Deploy IPv6 series. My name is Tim Rooney, Director of Product Management at Diamond IP, and the goal of this video series is to break down into bite-sized chunks IPv6 technologies and techniques. In this video, we'll get down to brass tacks and discuss how you can justify a return on investment for deploying IPv6 in your network. I'll demonstrate this by using a free tool we've developed to help quantify what investments may be required to get to IPv6 in your network and what return your organization can hope to achieve. You can access this tool by going through tinyurl.com/IPv6-tools. We have a number of tools that we've developed, but for the focus of this particular video, we're going to focus on the IPv6 Return on Investment Calculator. Now, the ROI that we measure in this tool is really from the perspective of your internet presence. As the internet becomes more of a IPv4, IPv6 hybrid network, as opposed to just pure IPv4 as it was years ago, now it's slowly growing in penetration in terms of the IPv6 users. So to have access of your website, your email, your other external applications to the full internet, deploying IPv6 will help you reap the benefits of having access to those resources, and whether they are providing revenue, as we label here in this particular text box, annual internet revenue or value. The value part means that maybe if you're not doing e-commerce, maybe you have some other value of conveying information, sharing information, building a community on the internet. And if you can attribute a value to that, that would be useful in terms of demonstrating your return on investment. So in this particular case, we're going to, let's say we have $500,000 in annual revenue attributed to our internet presence. We say $K here. It can be whatever currency you use. It's just in units of thousands. Just keep that in mind. Your annual revenue growth, let's just say 3% from a modesty perspective. So this is going to be used and other elements in our calculation of the return, and we'll talk about the other elements in a few moments. But if we look at the cost side of the equation now, what are the deployment costs for your internet-facing infrastructure? Your internet servers, these are basically the actual server operating systems for your DNS, your web servers. And by the way, you can click on these icons here for information. So operating systems for web, email, DNS, FTP, commerce, and other web applications. So let's say I've got 8 of such servers facing the internet. And then for each of these, provide a broad qualification for really covering all of them, again, just for simplification. Whether it's IPv6 ready now, are these applications ready? Do they require an upgrade, maybe a software upgrade? Or do I need to add or replace the entire server? Or are you not sure? So for each of these, you can select each of these as we go through the list here. You'll be able to select its relative state with respect to IPv6 capability. Now, most operating systems, at least from the last decade or two, have supported IPv6, so in most cases you're going to be IPv6 ready from the server perspective, assuming you've kept it reasonably up to date. In terms of the internet applications, this is really the software application, so the application that's running your web server, your DNS, your email, other web applications. And let's say I've got 6 such applications that I'm supporting on the internet today. And let's just say, well, I'm not really sure, maybe I need to do an assessment here. We'll put not sure for there. DMZs, routers, let's say I've got 4, let's say they're IPv6 ready. That's kind of your foundational routing structure, which really, again, from most modern vintage equipment and software is IPv6 ready. Other DMZ equipment, maybe it's load balancers, other components, application accelerators, etc. Let's say I've got a couple of these, and let's say, well, yeah, maybe I do require an upgrade there to be IPv6 aware, IPv6 capable. The next item, network and security management. So once you've got IPv6 deployed, in fact, there may be people attempting to access your network through IPv6 today, but perhaps for nefarious purposes as well. So you want to make sure you can keep an eye on what kind of traffic's coming in, what protocol it's using, and also be able to manage it. So not only from security, but able to monitor your v6, v4 traffic, the transactions, be notified of any issues that might be occurring there. And so for the network management piece, any software that you use to configure, monitor, troubleshoot, and manage, let's say I've got 4 systems there, and let's just say I'm not sure. There may be some that I need to and others I don't. Now the last item here, so you've got the systems to do the monitoring, you also need the people to make sure that they can respond to any monitoring events triggered. And that might be from IT. You might have customer support folks who might need to answer questions related to IPv6, at least from a familiarity perspective, and also engineering and operations. So whatever staff members, let's say I've got 8 of those staff members total. For the capability here, are they all experts? Is there some training? Do they need full training? Maybe they don't even know what IPv6 is, or you're not sure. Once again, let's just say I need some training. Say my IT group is pretty well versed on it. It's been around for quite some time, but maybe my support folks need a brush up on IPv6 and how it impacts their work. So that's the cost side, the revenue side. Let's run our calculation here. We have an ROI demonstrated here of 319%. And so at the top we list a little summary here. You'll be cash flow positive within 1 year. You can basically click the home button to return and re-enter or rejigger your assumptions if you like. And here we show a profit and loss chart. We see our cumulative cash flow here. And actually, as we highlight items in the chart, it gets highlighted below in the table and vice versa. So our revenue value, the blue line here, slowly increasing there from 50,000 up over 100. And the cost side is relatively flat after a first year of cost incursion. And our net, basically the difference of those numbers is our profit and loss, and then cumulative cash flow is really the red line going up and to the right there. And so this is really the cash flow that you are receiving from those users that are IPv6 that you might otherwise not be receiving if you don't have the IPv6 capability. From a cost perspective, based on what we entered on the entry page, we have our cost components here. Here we had an assessment of internet applications, so we assume there's some level of upgrades based on the assessment, and then we have an annual maintenance, for example, maintenance payment due. Same with the other components here. We had a similar thing for network management. And then the staff training is more of an upfront cost to do some training for some of your staff to get them up to speed on IPv6. So this is demonstrating results of 319%, and it's based on these assumptions, these numbers that we've derived here in the table. But if your environment, your costs are different, you can go back now and also tweak the model and adjust some of the parameters that it's using. Now, from the revenue side of the equation, we're really, again, basing this on internet users accessing your web server or your email, et cetera, other web applications, and using those. And what we're assuming here is about 4.5 billion internet users today. That's according to Internet Live Stats. And we're assuming only 10% of those are currently IPv6 users. So really, if you look at the Google IPv6 stats, it's really upwards of 30%, but we're assuming some of them can fall back to v4 if it's not v6 capable. So this is really kind of the opportunity cost for those that are really only IPv6 capable. And right now, a lot of users are hidden behind these various IPv4, v6 coexistence technologies and can use both protocols or one or the other. In many cases, they can support v4, but not all cases. So that's really the base assumptions. And the internet growth, users growth rate, that's the overall growth of the internet. Really, it's been a lot higher than 4% in the past. Again, that's a very conservative number. It's more upwards of over 10% per year. The IPv6 users growth rate, so of that 10% of the 4.5 billion, what's the growth rate of that 450 million, for example, is it, so that's what that 10% is applying to here. And again, you can tweak these numbers. So if you want to apply different parameters based on what you think is going on the internet, that'll also impact your return that will be seen by investing in IPv6. Now, in terms of on the cost side of the equation, now, if we look at the assessment, those that you marked as not sure, basically what is the cost per hour of a staff member to do that. If it's 2 staff members, maybe you double this number. But the average amount of time, 1.5 hours per element, maybe longer than that. You can also tweak this number as well. And so, and then based on the assessment findings, we allow you to basically apply a worst case, best case, or nominal case. And what this means is that in the worst case, I find that everything I'm assessing needs to be upgraded. I need to kind of do a flash cut of everything that I assess. So that's the worst case. The best case is I don't have to upgrade anything. I do an assessment and everything's IPv6 ready. I'm ready to go. So we really use the mid-range case as kind of a 50-50, but as we'll see, actually, let's click on the worst case and we'll go back and see how that affects our numbers. But here we're assuming then, based on the assessment, everything needs to be upgraded. So you can tweak that as well. If you are an optimist or a pessimist, that's kind of the button, the reason for that button there. Now the upgrade costs, again, looking at those elements that you did require an upgrade for, which your hardware and your corresponding software upgrade costs. Again, most modern hardware software, even from a decade or older, supports IPv6 natively, so we should be in pretty good shape there. But certain environments are different, so based on your particular environment, you can tweak those numbers there. And likewise with replacement or additional unit costs. So if you needed to replace hardware for the cost as well as the support cost, so there's an annual component there, that's what we assume. And that also applies to the assessment case where there's an annual maintenance support for any upgrades and changes that are made. From the staff readiness cost, in terms of the training, what supplemental training is required, we say 2,000 units of currency. Let's update that to 5. And then full training, I don't think we had any full training users, but you can likewise update this number as well. So based on these tweaks that I've made, we can update our results. We go back and we see that our ROI has dropped to 104%. If you look at the incremental revenue, that's 100,000 in year 2025, 50,000 right up front, and the cumulative cash flow is over almost $250,000 of your unit of currency. So again, very positive there. And here we see our table updated from the cost perspective. Here we had our internet network management applications requiring assessment. In this case, I have to do an upgrade of everything, and therefore I've got a higher ongoing maintenance cost year over year. And actually, if I just jump back to our cost parameter screen, and if I change this to best case, we'll see that we see our ROI jump to 830%. And that's really because if you look at the cost case, we basically have the cost of the assessment only, and there's no need to do the upgrade of any of these internet applications or network management applications. So again, this assessment here gives you the ability to kind of tweak that. Look at your sensitivity analysis, even if you don't know exactly the state of your equipment, your infrastructure, etc. So hopefully this tool gives you the ability to put things in your terms, what your environment is, what changes you think you might need to make, what revenue or what value you're getting from your internet presence, and be able to tweak these parameters as you desire to modify those. So as we mentioned, you can go back to the home and it remembers your values you entered. You can go back in here and tweak values and update those charts once again. If you would like more IPv6 resources, you can click on the link at the bottom. It brings you to our support site where we've got a lot more resources there for you to read more about IP address management and address planning. So I hope this video has been helpful. I hope you find the tool useful in terms of playing around with some numbers to determine the return on investment for IPv6 in your network. And if you have any questions on the tool, or if you need any assistance with the tool or IPv6 in general, please contact us at Diamond IP. Thank you very much.